Hello, everyone. This is Ross from Retro Dream Beam. This is all what we're going to ship out today on Tuesday, which is a lot of stuff, which is pretty crazy. That it's just like a lot of stuff compared to like a normal day. Normally, we get about like 8 to 10 items. In the past, on like a really good year, we would do like 12 to 14. This, I think, is like 18 or 19 or something, maybe even 20. Like another item or two sold while it's there. So I'm just going to jump right into it. The first thing is this right here, Star Wars Armada. This is a Fighter Squadron expansion pack for the Fantasy Flight game. This is missing the miniatures, but this is like what one of those expansions would come with. The cards, the little two boards right here with all of the tokens. This is going to be like a Star Wars game where they had one called X-Wing where you have a couple of ships battling each other. This one is Armada, so you have a big fleet of ships or spaceships for Star Wars, and then they end up being like really tiny miniatures. They're on these like circular bases. This is still fine even though it's missing the miniatures. Like, this game's still pretty expensive. Like, it was kind of like a little bit of popular when it came out, and then they eventually stopped making stuff. I think that like a fan company or something runs this. I'm not too sure where the game stands now. This is an older one, sold for $27 plus shipping. Everything's gonna be plus shipping. All right, moving along is this Rakanto. I don't know if I'm saying that right. This is going to be like an oil tin. We got a bunch of these oil tins at like an estate sale. Went into a garage. There was like a bunch on like shelves on the top. I asked the person, it was almost like a joke question, how much for all of them? And I think they gave me a price like 20 bucks or something. And I took it. And then we had to fill up the whole car with like 8 or 9 bins. So I regretted it at the time, but been selling a bunch of them. This is before we started filming. So people like to collect these different shelf pieces. The cooler the tin, the more likely someone's going to buy it, either like how it looks, maybe the shape of it, maybe the color. Someone wants the color code. Yeah, people will store stuff in them. This ended up going for $22.68. So yeah, that one, I think it's like an Italian one maybe or something. Yeah, I don't know. It said, I wrote on vintage, first cold pressed, extra virgin olive oil tin. All right, next up is going to be this D&D right here. This is going to be a Cabal list right here. This is going to be a little sheet that adds extra classes to your D&D game. This is not like official, but this does say D20 system up here, which means it uses the same system that Dungeons and Dragons uses. You can make like third-party stuff. There was some drama with the third-party stuff a year or two ago about how they were trying to change that, but yeah, people still pick up the third-party things. This ended up going for $8, so nothing too fancy, but yeah, it's like a little pamphlet. You open it up, and it shows like all the spells and how that class works. In Dungeons and Dragons, you get to pick a class. Think like a rogue. You get to pick a cleric, and then that tells you what kind of stats you get, what kind of spells you can do. So, like a rogue can do thieving, where like a cleric can do some healing and some stuff like maces, and they get to wear heavy armor, stuff like that. All right, now everyone is is into D&D. Next up is going to be a deck box. Where did I put it? It's right in front of me. I'm a little disorganized. It's a little hot out too right now. This is gonna be Ultra Pro red dual deck box. So I've talked about this before. This ended up selling for $9, which is pretty good for a plastic deck box. It has a little latch here. It says it's from 2012. This can hold two 80-card decks. Also, if people play Magic the Gathering, they want to have a 100-card deck thing. So this technically can do 100 cards because it can do 180. So it's split up between two. But yeah, that's why it's called a dual deck box. These are things where companies will innovate on themselves and make new deck boxes. Therefore, the older ones they don't print or make anymore. And then people will have their whole Magic collection or Pokemon collection, or whatever card game, they'll have all of the same deck box, color coded. People really get into like organizing their card games. So that's why I pick up a lot of the older deck boxes. Sometimes the cards or there's like cards or collections I get in these things, and then I list the deck box itself. Like I said, this one sold for $9, which is pretty good. Those are probably like during the time when they came out, probably like a couple bucks to get them, or you usually buy like sets of them. So yeah, it's just people want to have the same deck boxes, if that makes sense. When their old ones get damaged, they look up the company, they don't make them anymore. Moving along, we have Star Wars Legion. These are going to be some stormtroopers. These right here, they had some like bad primer, which is like the paint that went on them, which made them kind of sticky. Not like super sticky, but like just a little bit. And then also a lot of these were off of their bases, the little circle part on the bottom. They do need to be re-glued, so they are kind of like damaged-ish, easy to fix. I just don't fix this kind of stuff. I just list it as damaged, let someone else handle it. Unless if it's like an individual miniature that is more expensive, I will then put the work into fixing it, but then you also got to mention that. All right, this ended up selling for $10. like I said, Star Wars Legion is a miniature game within the Star Wars realm. It was kind of medium popular. I think there's also like a fan group or something that picked it up, or another company. So I remember a couple people were messaging me on eBay saying it's like kind of like in a weird spot right now. So I never played it. I just happened to know a couple people that did. All right, next up is going to be Germany. It's a book, Germany's Infantry Weapons from 1939 to 45, so World War II. It's going to be one of these hardcover books. Been doing pretty well with the military stuff in the past few years, especially the miniatures as well as the books. Got a bunch of cheap books from the person that I buy miniatures from. And then this one ended up going for $19.19. So yeah, someone just wants to look up all the Germans infantry. I like those books where it picks a specific topic, because I know someone will eventually want to read about that topic and then they'll dig into it. So let's say like a specific tank or a specific general or a specific battle. People like to read on the specifics. All right, moving along. This is something I got relatively recently. I went to like a free RPG day at a store. This one you had to spend like a certain amount of money to pick something up there from the thing. This is going to be the Emperor from, it's a miniature from Baldur's Gate 3, the video game that came out recently. When I saw this, I was like, oh, I haven't played it yet. And then I played it a couple times. I eventually want to play it, but I want to have more time to play it. And I'm also waiting for it to go on sale for the PC. She has it on the Xbox, but then if I play on her Xbox, she can't play. So I have to wait for it to be cheaper on the PC. Plus, I have to have time. All right, but yeah, this is one of the main characters. This ended up going for $20. It's shipping international, so maybe they didn't have like the free RPG Day stuff. This was, I believe, this year's free RPG Day item from them. So yeah, $20 for that. It's pretty cool. It's going international. All right, next up is going to be this right here, another international item, Red Bull Indianapolis Grand Prix. This is a 2008. This is going to be a program guide, just like the catalogs and the magazines and the paper ephemera, like menus and just anything that's for a specific event or a place. I always like to pick up. Someone's eventually going to grab it. This person, they were like begging me to ship it with the box, which we will. Normally, then I will do like cardboard, too thick cardboard, and maybe in like a poly mailer or maybe in like a rigid, but we'll send this one in a box. So yeah, they said that they had like was it like a shirt or something? Oh, I don't have the messages open. They had something else, something framed, and then they want the catalog to go with it. $8.74. Running out of breath. It is pretty hot out today. All right, next up is going to be Toyful. This is like an RPG set. I think this, when I was listing this was either like a podcast or like a channel, like something else in that realm. So there's dragon stickers. There's a little bend here on the bottom. It's not a big deal. And then there's also a bunch of dice bags. These dice bags were the ones that stood out to me. I've talked to you guys before about, there's not really like a main company that's known for making dice bags. Every company that will do like board games or RPGs eventually makes some kind of dice bag. So like anytime there's cool ones, these are like a black velvet with the dragon image on it, which is pretty cool. And they're drawstring for putting your dice as players. And then there's also some like other RPG stuff. This was like a kit. This ended up going for $22.68. All right, moving along, we have a combo order, but they paid at 5 different times. So was, let's see, 36, 46 plus 8 is 54, plus 10 is 64. All right, sorry, I had to do that real quick. My brain's melting. So they got Munchkin promos for the Steve Jackson games. These are going to be the bookmarks. These particular bookmarks, only have one of each of them. I do have a lot of bookmarks where I have a bunch of them. So when one sells, I relist it. One of them is like these are Grim Tidings. So like the fairy tale IP. They have a lot of IPs from Munchkin. It's a card game where you play a character against other people. It's competitive. You try to get to level 10 with your Munchkin character, and then you win. Promos like this exist where you get to put out a bunch of bookmarks. I think people get to pick like 2 or 3, and then they show on the back all of the rules that you get to use for it. People like to collect these. And then also there's a bunch of promo cards that you can just add into your game right here. So it's not like a fully collectible game, but there's a lot of stuff you can collect for it because there's a bunch. So they got one Warhammer 40K one. They have Warhammer even for Munchkin. And then they have this one Brandy. And then this one is Outwit to Rico. I'm not sure what the pun is for that one, or the parody for that one. They have a lot of like puns. It's supposed to be based off on Dungeons and Dragons and has satirical stuff related to that. But like I said, what was that? $64 for these is really good. All right, and then the 3 cards I just showed you at the back end, those I had extra, so I relisted them when I was at the storage unit. All right, next up, unfortunately, I have this kind of wrapped up because it is a cool like vintage handmade from Poland. It's kind of like a wall decor thing right here. it's ready to hang up. Unfortunately, like I said, I have the baggie on it, but yeah, it's like wood crafted and painted, and it's a really beautiful piece. This ended up going for $22.39. Not really a big wall decor person, but I do like to pick up foreign things, such as the board game, such as this made in Poland. People like the kind of unique stuff, and they like to hang it up on their walls and to collect them, especially when they're well done. All right, moving along, we have 16 replacement pieces for Arkham Horror Innsmouth expansion. So Arkham Horror, this is the board game. They also have a card game. This is an older one by Fantasy Flight Games. These are just 16 monster tiles, so this is not the whole expansion. This is just some like bits and pieces. Maybe they lost some of their tiles or their cardboard pieces. Maybe if someone handled them a bunch, some of the edges got ripped and they just wanted more, or they're doing something wacky and just adding more monsters to the game. You never really know. But yeah, Arkham Horror has a ton of games. I've never played it. We've played the Living Card game, which is a card game, and then I have had a lot of fun with it. There's also the Eldritch Horror board games by Fantasy Flight Games. There's also Mansions of Madness, which I do have, which we do eventually have to play. It is Halloween soon, so there was like another game we picked up that we have to play soon. We haven't played board games in a bit. We've just been both busy. All right, $11.19 for just a part of this expansion. This expansion I know is expensive if it's complete, probably like in the hundreds or something like that. They're by a company called Fantasy Flight Games. If you happen to see Fantasy Flight Games stuff, take a look at it because it's a well-known company for board gamers, and at some point they just kind of fell off and stopped making like good stuff. Think about how people don't like Blizzard Entertainment as much in the modern day versus the old stuff. All right, next up, is this a combo order or was this two different people? This is two different people. Okay, they were just back-to-back sales. Advanced Squad Leader, this is going to be number 30 board. These are going to be used for the Advanced Squad Leader miniature game. It's like a war game where you play with these little tokens, a bunch of them on these hex maps, and then you use these different numbers and scenario charts to make scenarios to play. And then you build out the battlefield, and then you play the game for like 2, 4, 6 hours. There's a ton of Advanced Squad Leader stuff. The earlier the number in the board, that meant it came in earlier in one of the sets. So like the starter set's gonna have like 1, 2, and 3. So the higher up, the less of them are. Doesn't necessarily mean they're more money, but that's just what those numbers are for. This one went for $7.18 for just a board. And then next up, someone different. I thought it was a combo order because it came back to back. Advanced Squad Leader. These are going to be boards 2, 4, 6, 8, and 9 right there. Up there, I just put it between two baggies just because they won't fit. I'll like rip the sides or rip the bag if I try to fit them in this. So I just make a note that I have, one of two and two of two. $43.99. These are going to repeat buyer. I got a bunch of these Advanced Squad Leader boards. People like to pick up the tokens, even the incomplete stuff, even the boxes. There's a huge fan base for this game. I've never played it. I do eventually want to run into, like, I don't know anyone that plays it, so I can't like even ask someone to teach me, but it is something, because I sell a lot of this stuff, it'd be useful to play it a couple times to really understand what the players enjoy about the game and why I sell some stuff versus other things. All right, I know most people pick up most of the stuff as long as it's in decent condition. It is easy to like lose the tokens and drop them on the ground and they disappear. Last up is a Blu-ray. This one is going to be Giant right here. I think it's sealed. I've never seen this movie. We picked up Blu-rays a bunch whenever they were around, especially when they were cheap. Annette and I think physical media is going to be on the up and up as time goes on, as streaming services rip people's favorite movies off of them, as things get more digital. The physical stuff is still super cheap. This one happened to sell for $36, so got lucky with that one. There are like certain ones that are like either more rare or collectible. I'm not sure why this one's more expensive, but yeah, 36 for a Blu-ray is pretty good. All right, that's everything. This is normally like what a weekend would be. So yeah, I was testing some live stream stuff. I do want to. I don't know if I can do it this weekend. It's a lot of work to move my whole computer setup. I wanted like a list live. I don't know if that's something people would like. There was one person that jumped in, so I briefly talked to them, but I had to shut it down. I was trying to just figure out like the get it recording, get the microphone fine and stuff like that. So that is something we're working on. But I don't know if it will be, people will like it, but I'm going to give it a shot. Maybe this weekend, no promises. Like I said, it's hard to set it up. All right. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to help support us, take a look at our links down below. Have a good one.